Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Don't touch me.
And welcome to episode 71 of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ.
Here with my co-host, Paul.
Damn it! I was listening to episode 69 last night, and that's the last time I forgot to do it, and it's because I was listening to it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm here.
I also gave myself a jump scare in the preview.
What do you mean?
Because we can see ourselves, and I was like, whoa.
You said, oh! Jeez.
Whoa! No, I did not dye my hair. This is a wig.
You don't fucking say.
I wanted to let our sight impaired viewers know.
If you're listening and not watching, we are dressed up today. There's a theme going on.
There is a theme.
And the theme is cold. The theme is frost.
What are you?
So I am a rich playboy, and I was on my private jet flying over here, and then my jet crashed into the Himalayas, and now I'm freezing in my winter jacket, and that's all I have is this fur jacket. Oh, the frostbite's coming.
Don't worry, viewers. I am fine. He has pants on off camera. I am Jack Frost, everyone's favorite mythological twink.
Not mythological twink.
Yes, I mean, what is it? The Guardians of the something? Not galaxy, but something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that movie.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the pictures of Jack Frost in it, and that's what I based my look off of.
I know what movie you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called, and I don't think I've seen it. But the reason we're dressed up is for a little competition we have going on. So what we're going to have you guys do is we're going to post on our socials maybe like Wednesday?
Yes.
Maybe we'll post on Wednesday or Tuesday and have you guys come on and vote. Whose frosted look you think is better? Who's got frostbitten? Who got blue by Jack Frost? And
who's got blue balls?
Oh my god. And the winner will receive probably some
nothing.
Some McChickens.
McChicken.
Or something.
I don't know. It's so hard because we're so good about switching off who orders what food that.
Or maybe we'll think of a punishment, and maybe we'll have you guys vote on punishments for the loser of this week's challenge.
Oh no!
I feel like
no.
I feel like we're on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Canceled. No.
What do you mean?
About the punishments. No.
Oh, well, we have to. We have to do something, DJ.
Okay, we'll think of something.
Up the stakes somehow. But I do feel like we're on Drag Race, and this week's category is frostbitten realness. And you chose Jack Frost, and I chose a frostbitten playboy. Yes. So go on and head on over.
I will give you. Yours is more original.
Thank you.
How was your week?
My week was good. Before I get into my week, go on over to our social medias. Make sure you guys vote for whose costume you think is better, whose look you think is better. My week was fine. Nothing crazy happened. I will say I have been reflecting a lot this week, though. Mm-hmm. And I've hurt someone very near and dear to my heart. And I owe them an apology. And I would like to formally apologize to Lindsay Lohan for the last 70 episodes of abuse. That wasn't fair of me, and it wasn't right. And I apologize, Miss Lohan. And
Lohan
will be replacing her abuse with abusing Kristen Stewart. So you're set free, Lindsay and Kristen Stewart. You're next. How was your week?
My week was fine. Sorry, the synthetic hair is getting in my eyelashes. My week was fine, but the synthetic hair is getting in my eyelashes. That's my week. No, it was fine. Did anything interesting happen? I read a very interesting book.
Ooh, wait, you read one or wrote?
I read.
What was it about?
It is called The Princess of Las Vegas.
Bitch, one thing about DJ, if there's something about royalty in that book, he's gonna read it.
Just wait. It's about a Princess Diana impersonator in Las Vegas who solves a couple of murders.
Bitch, are you making this up?
No, I'm not.
That sounds like the craziest LSD trip.
It's not. It's
dream.
actually really well written.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, when you approach it as she's a Diana impersonator as a job, and not as like a fetish or a kink.
Even then, it's like, who's really impersonating Diana besides you?
Exactly, she stole my shtick. That's why I read it.
Exactly. And one thing about...
for those of you who don't know, when I was doing drag, my name was Diana Peoples, which is a play on Diana, the People's Princess.
Right.
And one of my best looks was the Princess Diana look.
Yeah, I agree with that. But tracking back a little, one thing about DJ is if there's royalty in a book, he's reading that motherfucker. And you know what? If it's gay royalty... reading it double time and the pages are going to be sticky once he's done.
I don't read every book that's about royalty, like that stupid American Royal series. No, thank you.
American Royals? What's that? Is that a book or a TV series?
That's a book.
Oh. Well, I don't read, so I'm not
I
gonna
know
do
you
that.
don't. I know you don't.
I like to read. I just don't have time. The only reading
He just doesn't know how.
Exactly. Honestly, the only reading I do is for the podcast because that's all I freaking have time for. So, and that's enough. I know enough about history and shit from that. Like,
Yes.
It's fine. We're fine.
Get into that pop culture corner.
Yes. Pop culture corner. And I've taken another hit this week, guys. The community has taken another hit, okay?
Well, this is Donald Trump's America. We're just taking hits left and right.
Exactly. Like DJ at the bathhouse, we're just getting beat up.
Jesus, Paul! Come at me, bro!
But Pete Davidson is removing his tattoos, guys! Like, I was just about to get more. Like, are we moving towards a trend of no more tattoos? Because, like, I was just getting into my badass tattoo era. Like, and Pete Davidson removing his tattoos, I feel like is a big
But
loss.
I think he's doing it because he is an actor, and sometimes to get roles, you can't have tattoos. And he had so many that it would be very difficult and costly to cover them up every single day.
See, that makes sense. When you say it like that, so we can, work and actually get jobs and stuff,
because
that makes sense.
I know he did that movie, King of Staten Island, but he's not going to be playing that role every single time.
Now, did you see that movie?
No.
It was a pretty good movie. I would definitely recommend giving a watch. This is a Pete Davidson stan account for sure. We love Pete.
Until something else happens.
Right. He's very cute.
Always got to throw that caveat on because it seems like every time you say we're a stan account, the person we're standing does something terrible and gets canceled.
Yeah. I mean, one interesting thing about Pete Davidson is when him and Ariana Grande broke up and all the fallout he had because of that, because of course Ariana Grande is much bigger than he is, so all of her fans took his side and stuff, and it was a really hard thing for Pete to go through. I mean, not that it wasn't hard for Ariana, but Pete Davidson not only had to deal with the breakup, but also all of Ariana Grande's stans coming at him. Yeah.
I can't believe he dated Kim Kardashian for a while. That's so off the wall.
But I get it, though. Pete is so cute. I get it. I would date Pete Davidson also. Would you?
Yeah, I kind of would.
He's funny. And
I do like a man who can make me laugh.
Exactly. Funny and medium ugly. He's perfect. And he has tattoos. Yes. Perfect. He has the same body type as Timothée Chalamet.
We've discussed this. I wish Timothée Chalamet would shave his mustache.
Yeah, well...
I don't... It's one of those creepy mustaches where it's not quite full, so it's just creepy because it kind of looks like that kid in high school who tries to grow the mustache to look alluring, but it's just kind of like, you watch too much porn in your mom's basement.
That's what it does give. It is giving that. Yeah, he does need to shave that.
It's a porn stash. It's like, he watches too much porn and he thinks, I need a mustache like that, but it's just giving, I watch too much porn.
Yeah. Moving right along here. Unless you had something to add.
No.
Okay, moving right along here, Lady Gaga announced she's releasing a new album.
Finally.
Coming out next month, so looking forward to that.
Oh, is that why she keeps coming up on my TikTok FYP?
Yes.
Okay, and when I say that, it's nothing... When I say she keeps coming up, I mean I keep getting old clips from interviews she did, like pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why do these keep coming up? What's Lady Gaga doing? But I haven't, heard that news.
Yep, she's releasing a new album. It's called Mayhem. Super excited to listen. I loved Chromatica, so we're super excited for that. And we're also super excited to watch the Grammys this Sunday, so we will have thoughts and opinions on the Grammys this Sunday on our next episode.
Paul will.
Well, yes, I will. So, that was Paul's Pop Culture Corner. Should we get into a beverage?
Yes.
Okay.
It is February 1st in recording time, so dry January is over, and we are in fucked up February.
Heck yeah. Rock and roll.
But yeah, so it's February 1st. Tomorrow is Groundhog Day, which for any of you who don't know, that is where we in Pennsylvania pull a groundhog out of the ground and it tells us the weather. And it is a holiday that is very near and dear to Paul's heart because he knows something about yanking a hog out of a hole. I've been waiting all morning to say that joke.
That's really funny, actually. Thank you. You got me, gal.
Thank you. I've been hanging on to that one.
That was a good one. I was not expecting that.
But I got myself there. For our return, we have a creepy cocktail. We've got the White Russian back. It is a mixture of vodka, coffee liqueur, and cream. I use Bailey's Irish cream because we don't have a problem on this podcast.
Yes.
Dry January proved that. But it is 2 shots of vodka, 1 shot of Kahlua, and then you top it with the cream.
Yes, and this is our first drink.
This was our first
December.
And wasn't this our first cocktail on the podcast?
It might have been, yeah.
I think it was our first cocktail.
So this is our first drink since Dry January. So, let's get into it. I'm so excited to be back. Tastes like home. We're back, bitches. The deep breath of relief. Yeah. You said, oh, thank God we're back.
It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We're starting off strong.
We had to record early this morning, okay? We had to do what we had to do.
We've got a lot of stuff going on today.
Yes, lots going on. We're busy girls.
Do you... Because we both have stuff on our lips that is not lipstick. Do you want to grab straws for both of us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I put eyeshadow for my lipstick.
I did also, because I wasn't going to buy blue lipstick, and I have plenty of blue eyeshadow. So, and I just know eventually I'm going to get a mouthful of eyeshadow, and we're going to end up in the emergency room.
Metal straws to save the environment.
There.
Period.
Perfect. Okay, that's so much better.
Period. I give that 5 grapes. I love a White Russian. White Russians are one of my favorite cocktails.
Yes.
You're the one who introduced me to them.
Yes, I love them.
Yep, you're the one who introduced
I especially love them with... So you can make them with non-alcoholic cream. And I actually thought about getting that Chobani sweet cream you got for the Dirty Sodas episode.
I still got that.
I didn't know if you had enough for this. But I actually really like the taste of the Baileys goes really well with the Kahlua. Mm-hmm. And there's so much vodka in here that it goes really nicely in masking the vodka.
It does. You can't even taste... you can definitely tell there's, alcohol in it. There's definitely a burn. But you can barely taste it. It's not a bad burn. It's like a chocolatey burn.
Yes. All right, Paul. Let me tell you a story.
Let's get into it.
High up in the Himalayas, you struggle, climbing, grasping, seeking to seek the summit. The oxygen is thin, The wind and the ice rip at your extremities. But that's not all you have to worry about. Up ahead, inexplicably, you see a figure. You stop and take stock and you think, is there someone else on the mountain? And then you realize, whoever, whatever is ahead of you is much, much taller and much broader than any human you've encountered. Today, we will be discussing the Yeti.
Damn, I thought you were gonna say LeBron James. Because
Jesus.
he's so much taller than us. LeBron James just...
LeBron James. LeBron James.
LeBron-
LeBron James.
LeBron James haunts the Himalayas.
Anyone remember that vine?
Yes. LeBron James is haunting the Himalayas.
All right,
So,
this is also known as the abominable snowman, but later on I am going to get into why that name is inaccurate.
ooh,
Yeah, so
I
we've got
didn't know
tea.
that.
This is a very tea-filled episode. What was that? We gotta stop watching Luscious Massacre because I just did this. I have never done that before in my life. I don't even have nails to do that.
Yes, you guys need to go watch Luscious Massacre on YouTube, okay? She is so funny with her drag investigations.
Oh, it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. I don't learn anything,
Right.
but it's entertaining.
And she's just super funny. Go check out Luscious Massacre. Back to the Yeti, though.
Yes.
I think the Yeti is so interesting because we see it all the time in cartoons and everything.
Yes,
and,
Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, and even Disney has a ride dedicated to it,
Yes,
right?
and I've been on it.
Yeah, I've been on it also.
Which, that's something big because I don't like roller coasters.
It's a fun ride, so I'm very interested to hear the actual lore behind this because I grew up hearing about it, so I'm super excited.
So for those of you who have never heard of the Yeti, it is a large ape-like primate said to live in the Himalayan region of Asia. The Himalayan region is named after the Himalayas, which is a mountain range stretching across 6 countries. I guess you could say in Middle Asia. And those countries are Afghanistan, Bhutan, China, India, Nepal, and Pakistan. So this is huge because that's a wide stretch of land. And it separates the Indian plains to the south from the Tibetan plateau to the north.
Okay.
So they pretty much, almost perfectly, not quite, but almost perfectly, they stretch west to east.
Okay. So it's a big mountain range.
Yes, it's big.
Period.
It is also home to the world's largest peak, Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. Heard of that one?
Oh, everyone's heard of Mount Everest.
Yes.
All those stupid whores dying on that mountain.
I want to do an episode on that too, because actually Mount Everest is super haunted.
Right, because people keep dying. When are they going to learn? You're probably not going to make it, girl. Like, a lot of people do make it, but a lot of people don't.
Well, because I listened to a podcast on it, it is a lot easier now to make it. Mm-hmm. It's the people who now die on there, it's either something extreme like an accident or a storm, or you have a pre-existing medical condition that...
My ass is too fast.
Yeah.
That's my pre-existing condition. My ass is too fat. I can't make it up the mountain.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Now, one thing to be noted about the Himalayas, many of the peaks in the range are considered to be sacred in the Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, and Bon religions.
Okay, that's interesting. I've always found those religions really interesting. Mm-hmm.
Now, the Yeti from sightings has been described as being between 6 and 10 feet tall, broad-shouldered, has very powerful limbs, which are good for climbing, which is important when you live in a mountain range, covered in fur that is described as either being brown, gray, or white.
Okay.
Its face is a mix of an ape's and a man's. It has deep-set eyes, a flat nose, a prominent jaw, and forehead, which when we discussed what was his name? Osman. Albert Osman.
Yeah.
Those were all qualities similar to apes that Sasquatch has.
Okay, yeah, for
So
sure.
very ape gorilla-like. Think of the face of a gorilla.
He's basically Snow Bigfoot.
Yes, very much that. My next point is he has big feet. Tracks have been measured between 12 and 24 inches, so that is a full foot to 2 feet long.
Damn. And you know what they say about big feet? Good credit score.
Thank you. They have claw-like fingers or nails. It can move on either 2 or 4 legs.
Oh, I feel like I'd be more creeped out if it came at me like running on 4 legs.
Yeah,
like a
that's
dog.
creepy, especially if it's normally bipedal.
Yeah, I don't like
Pedal,
that.
it's bipedal.
Probably. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And some have reported it as having glowing red eyes, but
Could it walk through walls and fly?
that's just alphabet honey.
Girl, that was a Danny Phantom reference.
He didn't have glowing red eyes. His eyes glowed green or white.
You're right. The lyric is he had glowing green
eyes.
could walk through walls and fly.
Yes.
I was close.
You were so close, but you are colorblind.
That's true. I was so scared I was going to look green instead of blue because I
No,
couldn't see
and I
the
came in,
difference.
he's like, am I blue or am I green? And I said, you're gray. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he walked in the line. I said, it's a little green, but it works with the gray. Like, it's really giving frostbite.
Awesome.
Damn it. I've been practicing not doing ums, and you threw me off my rhythm, you bitch.
Okay, I'll interrupt less.
No, interrupt as much as you want. I was teasing you. Yes, because this week, in the middle of the week, I'm just sitting in my bed watching TikToks. And I get a message from Paul, no context. It is just a link to YouTube. How to say and ah less in one easy step.
Hey, okay, this isn't only for you guys, it's for me, okay? This is selfish for me, because it takes me so long to edit, okay? It was very selfish on my part.
I will say, I do say a lot. But you do say, I lost my place, give me a second.
Yeah.
Just as much.
And I notice I say okay at the end of things, like,
I haven't even noticed the okay, I just noticed.
I have different filler words.
Because I say when I lose my place.
Mm-hmm.
You just go, I've lost my place. Okay. The Yeti has a very long and storied history. It has been documented much in Buddhist mythology and teachings, especially within the Himalayan region, particularly in the Tibetan sect of Buddhism. Initial stories tell of the Meitei and associate it with the Raksha or demons within Buddhist texts. It is also called the Migo or Migoi and is depicted as a spiritual protector of the mountains and a guardian of nature.
I love that.
Yes. So these early tellings, it is strictly a spirit. It is not a creature.
I love that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could say the same about... Okay, I have theories already, but I'll save those till the end.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Sure. Now, the idea of the Yeti as strictly a spirit ended in the 17th century. Lama Sangwa Dorje, a devout Buddhist monk, went to a secluded cave high in the Himalayas to meditate. One day, while meditating, he heard a noise outside of the cave and looked out to see a large humanoid figure covered in shaggy fur. Despite the creature's fearsome appearance, Dorje remained calm as the creature came closer to him. Dorje realized the creature was cautiously curious about him, and so Dorje welcomed him into the cave and offered him sampa, roasted barley flour, which is a local Tibetan dish.
Okay.
In the coming days, the Yeti would return to the cave each day, bringing Dorje wild herbs and plants in exchange for food and company. Dorje also realized that the Yeti stood guard outside the cave to prevent other animals from coming and attacking him. It is said that Dorje actually converted this creature into being his Buddhist disciple. Now, eventually, this Yeti did die, and Dorje was so moved by his experience with this peaceful creature who just wanted companionship and who really had become his friend, that he cut off his hand and scalp and brought it back to his home at the Pangbosh Monastery, where they were revered as relics of the protector of the mountain, who also protected a holy man's sanctuary.
Okay. Many thoughts. So let me get started off right off the bat here.
Yes.
Okay. First thing, the Yeti. I feel like the Yeti and the Bigfoot are related, okay? Mm-hmm. I feel like the Yeti is mountain Bigfoot. And I like...
Well, no, I think the American Bigfoot, the American Sasquatch, lives in mountains too.
Okay, then the Yeti's the cold mountain Bigfoot.
The Yeti is indigenous to this Himalayan region.
Yeah, so he's like cold Bigfoot.
Or Himalayan Bigfoot.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
If we approach it scientifically.
Yes. But I kind of like the spiritual aspect where, like, maybe the Bigfoot is the protector of this area, and then the Yeti's the protector of the nature in that area. I like that thought a lot. And also, I think it's so funny just to picture this priest trying to teach this Yeti Buddhism. I can just, like, picture it. It's like, he's, like, trying to be like, no, sit like this. You have to...
I don't think it was like that. I think it was just kind of like the Yeti was, like, playing with stones or something. And it was like, no, you must find inner peace. Watch.
Bitch. That's crazy to me. Like, how are you gonna, like, approach this 6 to 10 foot tall creature, be like, you know what you just need? You need peace.
Well, no, he realized that the creature wasn't a threat. He was just kind of curious.
Which, the Bigfoot is curious
also.
Yes. Yeah, so, other similarities between Bigfoot and the Yeti. They're cousins, I swear. Yes. Especially if they're spiritual creatures, which I have been hearing more and more about, like aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, and all that stuff being related or whatever.
We'll get into that. Spoilers.
I thought you were offering them Coke for a second. Usually tapping your nose like that means you're trying to get up in the gym.
I always did oh my gosh, I always did that, like, inside secret because, like, in the old 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Santa Claus tapped his nose to go up the chimney.
Oh.
And I don't know why, but I just always associate that with secrets. Because the old cartoon version, Santa Claus looks right in the camera and goes... and winks, and then he goes up the chimney.
Or Santa Claus was coked out, and he was like...
Do not turn Santa Claus into Cocaine Bear!
Cocaine Bear?
You never heard of that movie, Cocaine Bear, which is based on a true story?
Oh, yeah! Okay, I know what you're talking about.
It is based on a true story.
Yeah.
Now, this story of Lama Sangwa Dorje changed the idea of the Yeti from fearsome spirit into flesh and bone creature, and just a part of the ecosystem of the Himalayas.
Yes.
In many Himalayan monasteries, there are rock paintings and carvings which link the oral traditions of the locals telling stories about the Yeti with the religion. So that we're also seeing a link here between the I saw this creature up there with the Buddhist teachings.
See, that's really interesting. I love how they're, like, meshing this with their religion. I wish Christianity would do some shit like that. Because, like, it's so boring.
Christianity already did that.
What do you mean? They're not adopting the fucking Yeti.
No, but I mean, most of our, like, festivals are adapted pagan feasts.
My point was not like that, but adopting something.
You want
cool.
Jesus to have a pet Sasquatch. You want Jesus to have a Wookiee friend.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I'm not even drunk yet. I am just next level today.
I need Jesus to have a Sasquatch Bigfoot friend.
Wait, I'm still trying to get over that Wookiee noise I made. That was perfect timing.
It was good. Now I need Jesus to have a Wookiee friend now.
Would you settle for, like, a werewolf?
A werewolf would be cool. Jesus and werewolf? Get into that. That would be freaking cool.
You just said werewolf, so Pittsburghese.
Werewolf?
Yeah, you keep saying wolf, werewolf,
Wolf?
wolf.
Wolf? I can't. Okay.
There's an L in there.
I can't do that. It's a wolf.
It's
And
a
that's
wolf.
how I've always said it.
It's a wolf.
One thing about me and my Appalachian heritage that I'm very proud of, I pronounce things how I pronounce them.
What's on the top of a building?
The roof.
Okay.
I can say roof.
I just wanted to know because my mother said roof.
Roof. Yeah.
So I wanted to hear how you said roof.
Nah, I say that one fine.
Okay. Now, despite the Yeti being an elusive creature in a rural area, the Yeti is one of the most well-cited cryptids.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Tell me more.
Absolutely. So we're going to go... So after Dorj, we're going to skip up until the 20th century. In 1832, British explorer B.H. Hodgson. I'm trying to say it right. B.H. Hodgson.
Okay.
Hodgson. Why can't I say this? Hodgson. You get the point.
Yeah, 2 sips of White Russian and now you can't talk.
Reported that during his exploration of Nepal, that his local guide saw a tall, bipedal creature covered in fur fleeing from them in terror. He stated he thought it was an orangutan, but his local, because they described it as having reddish-brown fur. Mm-hmm. But apparently they all had guns, and when they initially saw it, they aimed the guns at it, but when it stood up on 2 legs, they just all froze as it ran away in terror.
That's wild.
Because at first they thought it was like a bear or a wolf, and then when it stood up on 2 legs, it was like, nah, we know what this is.
It's the... Wait, did they know it was the Yeti at the time?
Yeah, because his guides were all locals. They were Sherpa.
They said, okay, they knew it was the Yeti.
Yes. But it should be noted that that BH did not see the Yeti for himself. Mm-hmm. He just got a second-hand account from his guides.
Okay.
Now, in 1899, Lawrence Waddell described hearing stories of the Yeti and of finding a set of prints, but he discounted these as being made by a bear.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, people have been doing that for forever. They do it with big footprints. Like, they try and reach and make every footprint that's bigger than normal, trying to be a footprint of the Yeti or the Bigfoot or whatever. Now,
I know those stories aren't very exciting, but those are examples of the fact that these stories go back a long time. Mm-hmm. Especially I know a lot of Western people discount anything that was not found by other Western people. Fuck you.
T.
So there's 2 Westerners who saw it. And unfortunately, because this is something spiritual within the locality, most of the stories that I could find that I'm reporting on are stories of Westerners. I am not trying to erase the Tibetans, the Nepalese, the Indians, the Chinese, the Bhutanese, the Afghanis who may have seen it. It's just, these are the stories that have permeated throughout the West.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes, just want to put that caveat in there.
Right.
In 1921, British explorer Charles Howard Bury led the British Mount Everest reconnaissance expedition.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
That sounds badass.
Now, this was still in the 20s where we didn't have fun names for things.
I think that's a fun name. I think it sounds badass.
So our next ghost hunt, we're going to come up with a name like that. The Crips and Corks Redacted Reconnaissance Expedition.
Yes, exactly.
We'll get patches made. I do. Okay, so I really do. And I told you this before, Mothman. I would love the idea of getting us like windbreakers or jackets. Mm-hmm. And for every ghost hunt, we go on getting a different patch made.
That would be so cool. Like a Letterman jacket, but for paranormal shit.
Yes, and so then we could have all the patches. And I was kind of inspired by like the NASA patches.
Yes.
Because one of my most... Did you go to Washington, D.C. in 6th grade? Did your school do that?
Yeah, we all did.
Okay. Some schools don't do that. But we went to the Air and Space Museum.
Yeah.
And one of my most vivid memories of that was acing the Eagle capsule from Apollo 11.
Doing what to it? Acing?
What?
What did you say you were going to do?
The Eagle capsule from Apollo 11 that landed on the moon.
Yeah.
The lunar capsule.
But what did you say you were going to do to it?
I saw it.
Okay.
And then the exhibit with all the different NASA patches, because back then when you went to the moon, you got a patch to wear on your jacket.
Oh. Okay.
One day we'll go to DC and I'll show you.
I lived in DC for a whole summer.
One day we'll go to DC and I will show you everything there is to see.
I don't want to go back there. That was the worst summer of my life.
I love DC.
Well, living there is a whole different story.
I'm sure it is, but I love visiting DC.
That's an Uncorked thing, or a Patreon thing.
Maybe that will be our next Uncorked. Now, Mr. Howard Bury, he could have been a captain or something, but Mr. recounted finding large prints which appear to have been made by a bipedal animal at 21,000 feet. What was that?
I'm the bipedal animal. I'm like...
You know bipedal means two-footed.
Oh!
So, Mr. Howard Bury recounted finding large prints. Stop making love with the camera.
Oh, I'm just listening.
You're trying to seduce the listeners into voting for you.
Don't sexualize me, DJ.
Don't be seducted. He found these prints made by a bipedal animal at 21,000 feet, which his Sherpa guides attributed to the Metokongmi.
Oh, yeah.
Which translates from Tibetan to man, bear, snowman.
Man, bear, snowman?
Yes. Metokongmi translates to man, bear, snowman. Which makes sense. It's a primate, so it kind of looks humanoid.
Yeah,
but it's covered in fur, like a bear.
Yes.
But it lives in the snowman.
Okay.
Now, Howard Bury's story was picked up by Henry Newman, a reporter in Darjeeling, who mistranslated meto as filthy.
Ooh.
And chose to substitute the word abominable to create the name Abominable Snowman, which captured the imagination and attention of the Western world.
Oh, so he mistranslated, and that's how he got
abominable.
Oh.
Because he said filthy snowman. That's not a good name.
But abominable. That sounds
And
crazy.
Henry Newman was very, he said, once he came up, in a later letter, he said, it was such a good story with Abominable Snowman. He worked for one paper, but he wrote letters to two others to publish his story. Because he was like, I'm going to get rich off this.
More power to him. Get your coin, girl. I'm here for that.
But the local name for the Yeti, Metokongmi, does not mean filthy snowman. It is man, bear, snowman.
Man, bear, snowman. I like that.
Snowman.
Man, bear, snowman. That's iconic.
I love it. Once you get into it, it kind of has a nice flow to it. Man, bear, snowman.
Someone should write a song!
Man, bear, snowman! Man, bear, snowman!
Oh, we harmonized for a minute.
To the tune of Secret Tunnel.
Secret Tunnel!
Man, bear, snowman! Man, bear, snowman! You're trying to...
Catch us on tour.
A couple years later, in 1925, the Greek photographer and geologist N.A. Tambazi reported he saw a creature at 15,000 feet near the Zamu Glacier. Mm-hmm. He wrote, quote, unquestionably, the figure in outline was exactly like a human being, walking upright and stopping occasionally to pull at some dwarf rhododendron bushes. It showed up dark against the snow, and as far as I could make out, wore no clothes. Ooh. Unquote.
Hot.
So, and he observed it for about 2 straight minutes, and he watched it climbing up the glacier.
Oh, that's really interesting, actually.
Now, There were a couple other sightings between the 1920s and the 1940s, but they weren't very exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It was mostly seeing them at a distance, finding footprints. There's only so much of that I can talk about before you check out.
Yeah, and honestly, that was during the Depression when everyone was kind of just like taking a break, taking it slow.
Yes, but still, exploration was really going in the 1930s, and then it kind of wound down during the 40s, obviously, because World War II and fighting Nazism. And who thought we'd be fighting fascism 70 years later? Not me.
I just think it's funny to think about the Great Depression affecting the Yeti as well. He said, tourism just isn't what it used to be since the economy crashed.
Wait, I want to do something.
Okay.
Just the Yeti. Perched up on his cliff. Wow. I haven't seen any of those puny little hairless ones in a while. It's been kind of nice. I wonder where they all went. Not my problem.
And all of a sudden, boom! World War II! Bombs! Too many people.
Well, I don't think they were fighting over the Himalayas. They weren't doing the Battle of Britain over the Himalayas.
It's just for the camp. It's just for the effect.
No, there were a couple sightings during World War II of like British and Indian soldiers who were like doing reconnaissance or going on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them were very exciting, so we're skipping to the 1950s because this is where interest in the Yeti really peaked.
Ooh.
Now, it really peaked after evidence from British explorer Eric Shipton in 1951. He was attempting to climb Mount Everest when he came upon a large set of prints at 21,000 feet. And I keep saying this, and it might sound like a number, but you have to realize that this is 21,000 feet above sea level.
Right.
So the air is thin. Not a lot of people get up there. I probably should have said this earlier.
He's really high.
Yes. He took 3 pictures of these prints. You look so zoned out. You're still processing.
Yeah, it's fine.
One he took of the prints as they were. And then he took 2 further of a particular footprint with a boot and an ice axe for size comparison. And he chose this particular one because it had very clean, crisp edges, which meant it was fresh.
Ooh, okay.
And it showed it having 2 separated prominent toes, followed by, 2 prominent...
2 prominent toes. Okay.
So a big toe and a very prominent second toe. And then the 3 toes were kind of mashed together.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Interesting. I wonder, maybe that helps it climb or something?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah.
And it did have it also had a very distinct arch and heel to the print.
Oh, okay.
So these pictures have been dissected and analyzed and critiqued and everything.
Yeah.
With some people saying, well, obviously, it's a footprint made by a person that then started to melt. And as the snow melts, it seems to get larger.
Oh!
But it's so crisp, lending to the fact that it was freshly made. Because, snow... You've walked through snow, right?
Yes.
When you first take your foot out of the snow, you can see everything. You can see the indents from the sole of the boot. You can see the edges of the boot. And then as it melts, the edges start to get softer and rounder, and you can make less of that detail out.
Okay.
And so these are really particular for how crisp and fresh, and you can make out the heel, and you could make out toes. In 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary in Tenzing Norgay would report finding Yeti tracks and hearing a frightening, inhuman scream at 16,000 feet during their successful climb to the peak of Mount Everest.
Ooh, okay. It said, ah!
What did it say?
Ah! That's what I imagine the Yeti sounds
I
like.
can't wait to go squatching with you.
My squatch calls are gonna go crazy. Not to be confused with my squash calls. I'm talking about the vegetable squash.
Squashes don't have calls. They are a vegetable.
Well, maybe where you come from. Where I come from, you gotta call the squash so it grows.
Here, squash! Here, squashy, squashy, squashy! Here, squashy, squashy, squashy!
See, he's not from where I'm from, so he doesn't know
No,
what a
I'm
real
not.
squash call sounds like.
What does a real squash call sounds like?
I can't tell the people. It's an ancient Appalachian secret.
Kathy, I think we're friends on Facebook. Please message me and let me know. Did you grow squash while Paul was growing up? Is there such thing as a squash call?
There is. And it just sounds like
Kathy, I am so sorry that this is your spawn. I am respectful. I am kind. Anyways, we're back in the peak of Yeti mania.
period.
Or,
Back at it.
as it was called then, snowman mania. Because it was still going by the abominable snowman. In 1954, London's Daily Mail newspaper sponsored the Snowman Expedition, which was led by John Angelo Jackson, during which he found many prints and documented artistic representations of the Yeti in monasteries from Everest to Kanchenjunga. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that.
So wait, is the Yeti in like the entire Himalaya mountains? Like, or most of it?
Most of it,
Most
yes.
of it, okay.
Like I said, it's most prevalent. So there's stories of it throughout Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Most prevalent in the Himalayan region because that's the area in which it lives.
Okay, that's cool. I'm here for it.
And you can tell I wrote this really late at night because that entire line, I was like grammatically correcting it as I spoke. Now, during this expedition, the Snowman Expedition led by Jackson, they visited the Pang Bosch Monastery.
Okay.
Do you remember that from the beginning?
Nope.
That is where Lama's Dorje was from. And they saw the relic that claimed to be the preserved scalp of the Yeti that Dorje had befriended.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the monks did allow the team to take a few of the hairs from the scalp for scientific testing. The hair was described as being black or dark brown in dim light, but fox red in direct sunlight.
Oh, that sounds really pretty, actually.
Now, remember one of the first descriptions of the Yeti? It was described as being... B.H. Hodgson described it as thinking it was an orangutan because of the red color.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So perhaps its fur can change color based on the weather conditions.
I wouldn't be surprised.
However, during testing, Professor Frederick Wood Jones determined the hair was that from a goat or an antelope, specifically from the shoulder region, and not from the scalp.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Now, of course, he wasn't, this is the 1950s, so he wasn't looking at it under a microscope. What he did was he took a picture of it microscopically and compared it to other microscopic pictures of other hairs.
Right, right.
So, I'm not saying the science is wrong, but I am saying this is the 1950s. And in the 1950s, I'm pretty sure they were still using leeches to bleed you to cure things.
That was a different time. Yeah, that's spooky. I don't like that.
Homosexuality in the 1950s, I'm pretty sure was still considered a mental illness.
Yeah, different times. Not good times, just different.
I'm sorry, I meant to say in the 1950s and in the 2030s. It's a coming, bitch. It's a coming.
Yeah, things are getting really spooky. It's really concerning.
Now, in 1957, Texas oil tycoon Tom Slick, yes, he really was an oil tycoon named Tom Slick, led an expedition to find the Yeti.
That's a really cool name.
One podcast I listened to described him as the American real-life Indiana Jones. I don't think so.
That sounds really cool, actually.
It sounds cool, but I was taught history in high school by the real Indiana Jones. I will show you pictures off the air because I do not want to dox anyone on the podcast, but he was Indiana Jones. Now, when Slick led this expedition, the United States government was so sure that he was going to find the Yeti that it issued a bulletin to any Americans in the region with 3 rules. 1, you must obtain a Nepalese permit to hunt the Yeti.
Not a whole government-sanctioned permit.
Yes. 2nd, you could not harm the Yeti except in self-defense. You could photograph it, you could film record it because they didn't have video, I guess. This is the 1950s. You could even capture it alive, but you could not do bodily harm to it unless it's self-defense. And 3, you had to let the Nepalese government approve any announcement of the discovery.
Oh, interesting. See, I don't know how I feel about the government, like, controlling the release of if this thing is real or not.
Well, because it's a Nepalese creature.
Yeah.
It was just good diplomacy that let the country where it lives approve the announcement.
Okay, I got that. Okay.
I mean, what's the king of Nepal gonna say? Like, no, ignore those Americans. We found it ourselves.
Well, my thought was they might try to cover it up for some reason. So that was my thinking of the government wanting to be involved with the announcement that this thing is real.
No, it was just America, like, doing good diplomacy, saying, let the government where you're at approve announcement of the discovery.
Okay.
And I think this is before communist China, so. Mm-hmm. In 1959, the group discovered what is purported to be Yeti feces.
Hot!
Shout out to all you scat lovers out there. You can cut that out. I just wanted to make the joke once.
It is kind of weird that scat's another name for jazz music. Isn't that a part of jazz music?
Yes, it is.
We love scat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you do love scat.
Love to dance.
Upon scientific testing, they found a parasite within the feces which could not be classified as being ever identified in the feces of any other known living animal.
See, that's weird to me because they had to get the parasite from somewhere. And, like, if it's not an...
I mean, let me be clear. Parasites are found in all animals' feces.
Yeah.
So it's not something gross. But this parasite could not be linked to any known living creature.
So maybe it was like a natural parasite already in its body.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Also in 1959, the group visited the Pang Bosch Monastery to see the Yeti scalp and hand. Remember the hand?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Now, at this point, Slick was injured and had to return home rather than continue the expedition. But he ordered expedition member Peter Byrne to convince the monks to let him bring the hand back to the West for scientific study.
Okay.
The monks refused. However, they did agree to lend him a finger in exchange for a large donation to the monastery. Now, there are many different stories about this exchange. Some say that they refused. Peter Byrne just stole a finger. Another story says that they negotiated we'll lend you the finger in exchange for a human finger and a large donation. And some people say that Peter Byrne got the monks really drunk and just took the finger and replaced it with a human finger so they wouldn't notice. Oh. So there are some conflicting stories here.
Okay, yeah.
But he did get a finger. And he got that finger out of Nepal and as far as India, but had no idea how to get it back to the West because, believe it or not, the West does not look too kindly upon there being remains in your luggage.
Yeah, probably the fuck not.
This is where he rendezvoused with a friend with a friend of a friend who happened to be vacationing in India with his wife Gloria. Movie star and Oscar winner Jimmy Stewart from It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay. I know. It's so funny you said that like he's a megastar, but
Back in his day,
back
but
in his day.
everyone's seen It's a Wonderful Life. He plays
Yeah.
George.
If you didn't say It's a Wonderful Life, I wouldn't know who that person is.
If you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, other famous film credits of his include Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Vertigo, and Rear Window with one of my personal favorites, Grace Kelly.
Ooh, Stan. Big Grace Kelly Stan.
Yes, I wish there was something spooky about Grace Kelly so we could cover her on the podcast, but like she is just sunlight.
Oh. Did she have one of those lesbian haircuts like Princess Diana? We could cover that.
Nip.
Don't touch me. I'm freezing to death.
Good. Freeze to death faster. Byrne hoped that Stewart could use his star power to bypass customs, but Stewart told him that this was not the case as customs had gone through his luggage when he was in the UK on his way to India. But he and Gloria had a plan based on their experience. You see, when they arrived in London on their way to India, a customs official brought their luggage to their hotel room, and Gloria noticed that her lingerie case was still locked. And she remarked on it, and the customs official smiled and said, "Madam, a British gentleman never goes through a lady's lingerie case."
Ooh.
The trio therefore resolved to take the finger, wrap it in Gloria's lingerie, tuck it in the bottom of her lingerie case, and get it back to London where Slick was waiting.
That's kind of badass. That's giving Mission Impossible. I'm here for that.
Do you want to hear the craziest part?
Yeah.
The plan worked.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go.
One could say it worked as if by movie magic.
Anyway.
Because he was a movie star!
Anyway, we don't condone trying to trick the TSA.
No, we don't. Not anymore. But, God, what a beautiful time when it was just like, we don't go through underwear.
Yeah, but nowadays they're gonna look everywhere and they're gonna feel everywhere too. Trust
Yes,
and
they
believe.
will. Test revealed that the finger was near human.
Near human, okay.
Further testing in 1991 and 2011 further proved this point. That it is most likely a human finger.
Most likely. See, there's room for maybe it's the Yeti, and maybe the Yeti is an off branch of the human
The
species.
missing link.
Exactly. Right.
Now, this part's a little sad. In 1991, the finger was retested and it was aired as part of an NBC special. In that same year, after the special aired and a wider audience realized it existed, the Peng Bosch hand and scalp were both stolen from the monastery. This was a huge blow to the monastery, who would offer the chance for tourists to come in and see them in exchange for a donation, which they used to keep the 1,000-year-old monastery running.
Oh. That's interesting. It's sad.
So they lost like their only source of income.
Oh.
But in 2011, a replica scalp and hand were given to the monastery to make amends for the theft and so that they could reopen to tourists and once again have an income.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, they're back. They're back in action.
In 1960, Sir Edmund Hillary, remember him?
Yes.
Embarked on yet another expedition in order to find evidence of the Yeti. This time he was not going to climb Mount Everest, he was just going to find evidence of it. However, he found very little provable evidence and came to regard the Yeti as imaginary.
Oh, I don't like that.
Sightings of the Yeti persist to this day. In 2010, Chinese scientists announced that they were proposing an expedition to the Shenojia Forestry District to look for evidence of the Yeti there, following up on expeditions that occurred in the 1970s. In 2011, a group of Russian scientists claimed to have 95% of evidence to the Yeti existing. However, this was debunked by an American scientist who had been on the expedition with them and say that the evidence was an effort to stimulate publicity and tourism in Russia. Are we really surprised?
No. People will do a lot of things for some coins, honey.
In 2019, a group of Indian Army mountaineers reported finding Yeti prints in the snow in the Himalayas. So, it is yet to be seen if the Yeti is a physical creature living in the high slopes and glaciers of the Himalayas, or perhaps it really is just a spiritual creature who guards the sacred peaks against the encroachment of humankind.
The sacred... Wait, do you know why the peaks are sacred? Just because that's like some religious...
I could only go so deep into the Buddhism aspect.
Right,
I could not fall down that rabbit hole and get this episode done.
Right, exactly. And we don't want to, like, address something that we're not, like... Because that's a different culture and things, and we don't...
They're sacred, and they know why it's sacred, and we respect that.
Exactly. I do like this theory, though, of the Yeti being a sacred being and being a spiritual being almost. And I kind of wish we regarded the Bigfoot in that way, as it being like a protector of the mountains, like a spirit of the mountains.
So in the... Fuck, I did it again.
You're fine.
In the third Mummy movie.
Okay.
It took place in China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first two took place in Egypt, and then they really just veered to the left.
Right, they said we need a storyline, so we're going to go with it.
But part of that was, because it took place in China, part of it took place in Shangri-La, which is this... I don't even know how to describe it properly, but it's this mystical paradise within the Himalayas, within Buddhist text. And the Yetis were physical creatures within Shangri-La meant to protect its entrance.
Oh, okay.
So getting a little into the pop culture aspect, which sometimes pop culture can hit the nail on the head.
That's true. But another thing I want to like talk about is it being an actual biological creature that we haven't like discovered yet.
There's so much in the world that we haven't found yet, truly.
Right.
And in the Himalayas, which are so remote and rural, and it's so hard to get to the peaks, that there really could be something just living up there that we don't know a lot about.
Right, because it is rough terrain, and we like literally like never go up there except for like occasions when you're trying to get to Everest or whatever.
I will do my due diligence. There are the theories that it is just a Himalayan bear. They sometimes walk on two legs, and from a distance you could confuse a bear's stumbling on two legs as just walking, as well as the height. As for the footprints, it could be when bears run, they kind of put their feet together.
Right.
And then they melt out to look like Yeti prints. I'm not fully convinced.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it could be the bear. Maybe it started out as the bear and like it got just adapted into this mythos of the...
Another theory I heard was that the Yeti was once upon a time a very real creature that has since gone extinct.
I could see that.
But because it is well known now, the story's just like people see things and they claim it to be the Yeti, but it actually did go extinct.
I could see that too. But I do think the Yeti being in existence does add credibility to the Bigfoot being in existence and them being to like just biological creatures that exist and they're related but just in different parts of the world. Maybe they were around during Pangea and when the continents like
species. Yeah.
Exactly.
Same species, different subspecies.
Right, like I said about the Pangea thing,
Yeah.
like maybe they were around during Pangea, and when the continents drifted apart, they drifted apart and just adapted to the environment, evolution. Like, of course, the Appalachian Bigfoot's going to look different than the Himalayan Bigfoot, so polar bears look different than black bears.
But I do agree with you that I love the spiritual aspect of the Yeti as being a protector of the mountains.
Yeah,
especially considering they are said to be so sacred to these different religions in the area.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think Eastern religions are very interesting for sure.
And I agree with you. Christianity, we need some cryptid to be protecting the Vatican.
Or something, Jesus Christ.
I mean, something that's a little scarier than Pope Benedict XVI.
Is he the current pope?
No, he's the last pope.
Oh.
Anyways, anything else you want to say on the Yeti?
No, it's really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad I know more about the Yeti. It's something I've heard about my entire life, but don't know much about, so I'm glad I know more about it.
I do have one final question for you.
What's up?
Smash or pass? Jimmy Stewart.
Smash.
Me too.
He looks good. He was
handsome.
Yeah, he was handsome.
He was from Johnstown.
He's
in Pennsylvania here.
Oh,
They have a whole museum.
That's crazy. No, he's kind of got. He's like that old, like 1920s, 1930s attractive, 1940s. He's like Frank Sinatra attractive, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He's old Hollywood attractive.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Old Hollywood attractive. Yeah, he could definitely. Yeah, he could get it.
Sorry, I just got sight of myself in the mirror, and I'm just remembering when I had blonde hair, and I'm like, I kind of miss it.
Oh. Why not go blonde again? Why not?
I might, if I find a good hairstylist.
Didn't. Ooh.
Because the hairstylist who took me blonde, she doesn't work on weekends anymore, and I work during the week, and that's a 2-hour appointment.
What? Oh, yeah. Dyeing your hair does take a long time.
Especially when your hair is naturally as dark as yours or mine.
Right. And, I dyed my hair, but I'm already balding, so I don't want to,
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
You can just buy wigs in different colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to try this one?
Oh, I'm fine.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to our episode on the Yeti. Please let us know what you think. What is the Yeti? Or if you have personal stories where you've climbed the Himalayas and you've seen it, or if you've seen a Bigfoot, please email us. All that information can be found below. Paul, where can they find you when you're at home?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And you can find me and DJ at the World Oddities Expo in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on March 1st and 2nd. We'll be wandering around all weekend there, so if you see us there, give us a good old shout out, come up, say hi, we'll be around for sure. Oh, and as usual, I've been forgetting this so much recently. As usual, guys, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to find me on my personal socials, you can find me on TikTok and on Instagram at TheRealDeechPowers. And here at Crips and Quirks, we always like to give back. February is National Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. You can please consider going to www.NCAVD, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. That's .org, and giving to them so that they can help survivors of domestic violence get out of those situations and reset up their lives, and to hopefully end domestic violence in the country. And I think that's all she wrote.
Period.
So until next time, stay warm out there. It's still winter and it's still cold, at least in the northern hemisphere. And keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose. Bye!